She didn't move on. That is a comfortable illusion. What she initiated was a strategic retreat to an observation post. Understand this. Her current state is not one of disinterest. It is one of active surveillance. She is monitoring the battlefield from a distance, assessing the collateral damage, specifically your condition. Her internal script requires validation. The narrative she constructed, the one justifying her exit, demands external proof. Your anticipated collapse, the desperate calls, the pleas for reconsideration, the public display of a man unraveling. These are the data points she is waiting for. This is the evidence that will confirm her decision was not only rational, but necessary. Your weakness, your emotional regression, serves as the ultimate justification for her perceived upgrade in life. Every attempt you make to reach out, every expression of regret, every hint of self-pity registers as a victory for her. It validates her perception of your diminished value. It retroactively makes her actions appear logical, even inevitable. Providing her with this validation is a tactical error of the highest order. It cedes psychological ground you may never reclaim. Consider it a biological competition. She is watching for signs of decay in the rival organism. Your emotional sovereignty is under direct assault, not by direct conflict, but by the expectation of your self-destruction. To fulfill that expectation is to surrender control of your own narrative. It is to hand her the pen to write the final chapter of your perceived failure. Your silence, your disciplined focus on reconstruction denies her this vital information. It leaves her observation post barren, without the evidence she desperately seeks. Her quiet anticipation, the subtle observation you sense, is not arbitrary. It is the execution of a primal biological script. Understand this: female biology is engineered fundamentally for the continuous assessment of male fitness and resource stability. It is an evolutionary imperative, a constant subconscious scan for genetic viability and a secure resource provider. This is not personal. This is programming. Your current state, post-separation, triggers this ancient mechanism. Any perceived emotional instability, any overt display of neediness, any attempt to solicit her sympathy or chase her validation, these are not expressions of your feelings. They are direct, measurable signals. They confirm a degradation in your sexual market value. You are, in her cold biological assessment, a less optimal resource, a diminishing asset in the grand scheme of biological competition. This is not about your remorse. It is about your utility. This perceived drop in your value serves a critical function for her. It validates her internal narrative. Her decision to disengage, to reallocate her resources away from you, is affirmed as a correct, logical resource allocation decision. She is not merely observing your decline. She is actively seeking evidence to confirm the wisdom of her own choices. This process bolsters her own value, justifies her actions, and reinforces her self-perception as an effective strategist in the biological marketplace. The confirmation of your perceived weakness elevates her perceived strength, her foresight. She watches precisely to confirm her judgment, to solidify the narrative that her exit was not merely justified, but strategically sound. Do not provide that confirmation. Do not feed the script that validates your obsolescence and affirms her superior judgment. Your emotional sovereignty is under assessment. Your control is being tested. The impulse is primal, to reach out, to explain, to plead for understanding. You perceive this as an attempt to mend, to clarify, to salvage. You are operating under a fundamental misapprehension of the dynamic. Every weak text, every unsolicited call, every attempt to talk things through from a position of emotional deficit is not merely unproductive. It is a direct and quantifiable resource drain. It expends your most critical assets, your time, your mental capital, your emotional sovereignty. Each such instance is a strategic error, a deliberate concession in the larger game. You are surrendering control. She is not interpreting your outreach as a gesture of love, remorse, or reconciliation. That is your internal narrative, not hers. She is collecting data points. Each hesitant message, each desperate voicemail, each protracted email outlining your perspective confirms her existing narrative. It provides undeniable evidence of your instability, your inability to function autonomously, your predictable emotional dependency. These data points do not soften her resolve, they solidify it. They justify her decision within her own psychological framework, reinforcing her belief that she made the correct, even necessary, move. Consider this through the lens of biological competition and evolutionary psychology. Her departure, in most scenarios, signals a reevaluation of your perceived value, a recalibration of your position in the sexual market. Your subsequent attempts to re-engage from a position of perceived weakness do not increase that value. They diminish it with surgical precision. You are not initiating reconciliation. You are providing free validation of her biological imperative to seek higher value. You are confirming that her assessment of your current sexual market value was not only correct, but perhaps even understated. By engaging from this compromised position, you make yourself a known entity, a static resource, predictable, easily dismissed. There is no challenge, no scarcity, no dynamic uncertainty that would compel a reevaluation of her decision. Your actions betray a profound lack of control, not over her, but over yourself. This signal, broadcast repeatedly and unequivocally, tells her everything she needs to know about your current state. It is a confirmation of her strategic move, a self-inflicted wound that solidifies your lower status. She is waiting for your weakness. She expects your call. She anticipates the data points that will confirm her narrative. Your emotional distress, your plea for reconciliation, the visible resource drain. This is not an emotional assumption. It is a predictable response within the human behavioral matrix, a biological imperative to validate her decision and confirm her perceived status. She needs to observe your collapse to rationalize her actions. Your counter-strategy is absolute strategic silence. Understand the distinction. This is not a game of childish avoidance. This is the active reclamation of your emotional sovereignty. It is a deliberate withdrawal of the energy she expects to consume. You deny her the anticipated data points. You deny her the validation she seeks from your suffering. You force her to confront the absence of your weakness, the void where her expected reaction should be. This void is a powerful signal. It disrupts her internal script. It forces her to reevaluate the predictable trajectory of your interaction. The silence you engineer is not passive. It is an act of deliberate control. It allows you to reallocate critical mental and emotional resources away from her observation, away from the external chaos she expects you to generate, and direct them entirely to your own reconstruction. Your focus shifts from her potential reaction to your internal engineering, from the external noise to the foundational rebuilding of your own control matrix. Every minute you do not engage, every impulse to reach out that you suppress, is a deposit into your emotional bank account. It is a strategic withdrawal of power from her. This is how you begin to reclaim what was lost. This is how you dismantle the expectation of your collapse. This is how you start to re-engineer the game. She waits for a signal, a call, a breakdown. This is her confirmation bias at work, validating her narrative. Your objective is not to make her regret her decision through tactical manipulation. That is a weak man's game, a reactive play. Your objective now is to engineer a life so robust, so independent of her observation or approval, that her entire script becomes irrelevant. Your silence is not a punishment for her. It is a declaration of your emotional sovereignty. It is the foundation for a future strength that is built, brick by brick, not salvaged from emotional wreckage. This is about reclaiming your biological imperative for self-preservation, for resource allocation focused solely on your reconstruction. Her approval is a defunct currency. Her narrative holds no weight in the new architecture you are designing. Self-pity is for the weak. Control is for the architect.